All right, we're back, episode 3. Topic of today's video is going to be Koetter woodworking. So we had the opportunity to supply Brad Patano of Machado and Patano Design. It was Brad's personal house, so we had to make sure it was right. You know, it was a very curated selection, and having the customizable door panels to match the trim to just the overall high performance components to the doors, it made sense. It was an easy solution. The hardest part was figuring out of the 3 great options, which one did we go with? Well, stick around, we'll show you. We're pretty pleased on how it finished out, so let's get into it. We're standing here with the Mr. Brad Patano himself in a beautiful home that is nearing the end. I'm sure you're pretty excited for that.
Ready to be done.
It is a process and a journey, but one of the things that we got to work through together was the trim, Koetter woodworking, specifically in a bunch of their just profiles, but the design, the feel, the aesthetic as the whole house. What was kind of the inspiration? What were you going for?
Yeah, so it is kind of cliche to say you want a timeless design, but that's really what we wanted, is something that looks good today and in 50 years looks good as well.
Sure.
So that was kind of the goal, was to do something, you know, kind of a French colonial, probably inspiration, you know, New Orleans, but not downtown New Orleans type style, more, you know, old New Orleans. I did spend a good bit of time studying and trying to figure out how to make it correct and how to make all the details, you know, architecturally correct. So.
In order to get to that point, there's a million decisions over the course of the project that had to be made. We came in, we met in the showroom. There was Christy from Christy Web Design and Brock Matthews, who works for Beach Lumber. He's our millwork specialist. If you recall kind of how that went, what was your take on that just general process?
Yeah, I think it was really great to come in and be able to put our hands on some of the pieces and see how it would fit together. Was very helpful. And then to talk to Brock to see what other people had done and what he had seen in other houses to get some ideas so you're not completely starting from scratch was very helpful. If we had done it just based off of images on, you know, a catalog off the website, I'm not sure we'd have turned out this good.
Sure. Part of that conversation that we had was going to be, you know, matching the door profile with the casing.
Yeah, that was kind of a compromise between myself and Christy and my fiance. So I think everybody had a little bit of a different opinion, but this is kind of the one that everybody kept coming back to saying, yeah, that would work.
Sure. No, I think it looks good. I mean, the fact that it's recessed, which I think has a timeless look, like what you're saying, and just is appealing. Koetter, they assemble the doors. Their big thing is poplar. Being able to use poplar avoids the grain pattern raising. So you went with a phenomenal door, but they assembled it. So like this is probably, you know, 7-8 different pieces.
I'll say this about the poplar door. We put this to the test because this house went unconditioned for much longer than what it was supposed to. And so I was getting really worried about, you know, the wood swelling and having issues with it. And we turned the air on, and within a couple of days, everything was, you know, back to fitting like a glove. So that worked out good.
Oh, that is really cool. Yeah, so to showcase this, what Brock ended up doing, and it was just kind of one of those aha spur of the moment things, I feel like, was he got a 12-inch sample of base cap, and then instead of running a big oversized header, like something that you'd see on a window or a door, is being able to extend the casing, because I think the other part of the conversation was having that mitered corner.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it simple and not make it something that was too complex. Just kind of feel like the more complex it is, the more chances there is to mess it up. So it was, when we came up with this, and this was very simple.
Yeah, and it's really cool for us, at least, having the simplicity. And the other thing that is just within their wheelhouse was obviously the pantry door. Y'all went with the Flemish glass, which I think is a personal favorite of mine. But the white oak, that looks great, and just as a pantry is a cool staple. So, was the wainscoting, was that something that y'all had at the beginning, or was that a field decision further into the build?
No, we always had the plan for the wainscoting. We didn't know exactly where we were going to put it. It was always my idea to have the wainscoting on this wall and have this kind of be, you know, the feature wall with the arch. We toyed with brick. I just felt like it looked kind of out of place and out of character for the house. So that's why we wound up with this. And I had to sell everybody on the idea that we could make this look elegant enough to, win everybody's approval. So.
I think it's specifically how you did the corners. I think that's what gives it that level of detail and extending that piece of base cap like 2-3 inches right there on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like shout out to my trim carpenter, Brian and Philip. Like they're phenomenal. I mean, they're just the best. It turned out great. Now this side gave us some fits because we had a door here, we had an opening here. So trying to figure out how we were going to make this look, somewhat symmetrical. So we just carried everything over, brought it down, and killed everything at the header line. And so I think it turned out good.
Yeah, because you have the big casing in the other end, but it looks like here you ran the 1x and then the wainscoting on the other side, so it kind of looks like an inverse of the casing.
Right.
Instead of raised, it's recessed, but profile being one and the same.